In this video, we're going to be talking about Roberto Rossellini's 1945 film, Rome Open City, which is about the occupation of Rome by the Nazis and how the resistance fighters fought back with the help of a priest. We're Coffee with Aliens at the Movies, a film education and review channel. I'm Robert Bellissimo. I'm an actor and acting teacher.
I'm Steve Chambers. I'm a writer and an actor.
And if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing to our channel by clicking on the subscribe button in the description box below.
But give me a little more of the plot. Refresh my memory.
This is a film at the time that really shocked the world. As I said, it was actually, they started to film it 2 weeks after Rome was liberated from the Nazis, but it's during that time when the Nazis were occupying Rome. And of course, there were people who started this resistance, these fighters, and they were mostly very far left-leaning communist individuals. So throughout the film, the Nazis are trying to find them, and there's a priest helping them either escape or hide their weapons. And in the end, what happens is the leader, one of the leaders of this group, is caught and is tortured. And to this day, it's the longest torture scene that you'll ever see on film. And this is the mid-1940s, you know, so it's not that you see so much. The only thing you really see is at one point they take a blowtorch and start to burn him. And actually, they actually show that. But other than that, you hear the screams, you see what they're about to do. They have whips, they have fire, and actually they force the priest to watch some of it because the priest gets arrested at the same time. So to this day, it's a shocking film to watch. And at that time, you know, this was the Neorealism movement was so essential because, as we have said in our other Italian movie discussions, everything they had done before the war were escapism, were comedies, were light. They were nothing to do with what was actually going on in Italy. And this movement from Fellini, from Rossellini, from De Sica, from Visconti, a lot of the directors we've been talking about, were to what is the truth? What is really happening in Italy right now.
An interesting thing, you probably know this, is to get funding for the film. So everything was in ruins. Like you say, they were just starting to make the post-war, the white telephone films. So their idea of Hollywood escapism, like, let's get away from that. And the reason this sort of happened wasn't necessarily that Rossellini or Fellini or anyone decided, no, we must show. That's something that Pasolini would do later in not about war so much, but about, like, things aren't as pretty as we're trying to pretend. But what happened here was, while things were in shambles, the studios disappeared. There wasn't reliable electricity, film stock. Like, you couldn't even really make a movie unless it was government approved. And what had happened was some wealthy woman, and I don't know her name, was friends of Rossellini's. And she said, hey, you know what, I'm wealthy, I'll give you money to make a documentary. I want a documentary about, and it was about the specific priest. And then she was like, but also, I also want to make a documentary about the children that are affected by this. He came back with Fellini's help and said, tell you what, instead of the documentary, let's meld the two ideas, let's make a movie. Not a fictional movie like it's totally, but like with actors and everything. And the reason it looks the way it looks and why we call, you know, Italian neorealism has a look, it wasn't stylized. It wasn't like Rossellini sat there and went, you know what, what's going to look cool. They had to make do with what they had. They used 3 different types of film stock, one for outdoor shooting, one for indoor shooting. That wasn't weird. But you had to shoot when you could in available locations. And so you get this sort of documentary look that's become famous. And then later imitated, right, by France and then America, but that was out of necessity, not style. The choice to use non-actors, that was a deliberate choice, outside, of course, of Anna Magnani. But I just wanted to say that I think that some of the great innovations in cinema don't happen because someone sat back and planned it. This was a necessity for these filmmakers.
That's right.
To do this. So I just wanted to add that in. I know that's not to do with the plot, but I think that, as I've said before, sometimes how something got made is as key as what got made.
No, that's an excellent point, and I'm glad you brought that up because yeah, and Cassavetes touched on that. Any innovations that came out of his work were necessities, were accidents, and yeah, this very much was like you had said. They had to stop shooting many times because they ran out of film, and they had to go. I think Simon mentioned in our neorealism talk
Yeah.
that they had to go on the black market
Yep.
and find film to continue. That's why you have the three different film stocks. We have largely unprofessional actors, with the exception of Aldo Fabrizi, who was the priest, and Anna Magnani, who was the fiancée of one of the resistance fighters. And it's incredible that these two actors who were probably so known for that movie or that era were largely film stars in comedy. It's like, it's almost hard to believe.
That's right.
But I mean, Magnani, of course, is, when I think of her, I think of drama. I think of emotion and raw intensity, and yeah, of course, the famous scene where she's chasing the car because they're taking her fiance away, and then she gets shot down.
That's right.
Is heartbreaking, and what I love with the priest is it's almost hard to believe this guy was an actor. Like it feels like they just found the priest. Like he's got the noble quality. He has the calm demeanor. He has this intelligence, this sweetness. A guy you go to with problems. A real, just a genuinely kind man, and it says so much in his face. But I think he gave an incredible performance, and even I love when he suddenly breaks down when he sees that in the torture scene at the end when they kill the one of the resistance fighters, and then he just breaks down, and he starts to tell the Nazis that he wishes death upon them, and then he collects himself and he asks God for forgiveness for saying such a thing to someone. And God, that just those transitions, that must have been really challenging to act, whether it was a mix of the professional actors being good actors and also Rossellini's genius of a lot of those directors at that time, genius for transforming actors and helping actors and getting help and really supporting performances. It must have been a combination of all those.
I agree. That's very, very well said. My recollection, again, I just want to say I saw this in a film history course I took when I was quite young. And of course, I knew nothing about this. And the fact that they show this right away in a film history class says something about the, I guess, importance of the film. Now, my recollection is that the structure of the film is straightforward.
Yeah.
Right? If there's anything that stands out.
Yeah, no, it's actually, it's funny because this is considered Rossellini's best film. When you think of Rossellini, you think of Rome, Open City, and apparently he felt it wasn't his best, mainly because he didn't like that the narrative was traditional. He preferred his non-traditional narratives, but without question, who cares about the structure? At the end of the day, what is it about? And what does the audience take from it? And that's, to me, is the most important thing. And yeah, I mean, without question, this is his best film.
Most importantly is what the film is. I mean, the movie itself is fantastic. It does hold up. You do have performances there, as Robert said, that you don't see those. Even today, 75 years later, did it really well when you're talking about Aldo Fabrizi as the priest, that bang, you found it hard not to believe that he was the priest, that he is an actor, and that he could make these transitions, these switches so quickly and effortlessly. I mean, it goes without saying, the film itself, regardless of when or how or why it was made, is it's a masterpiece, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, like, I'm fascinated that these two actors were known for comedy. I mean, that would be like taking, Jimmy Fallon and turning him into a priest and not being able to, and thinking that he was actually a priest,
That would be something.
Like, it literally is, like, this guy was known, and Magnani, for comedy. So when I'm thinking, how did they even think to use these actors? And then they were perfect. But on a note on comedy, and like I had said with De Sica and some of the other neo-realists, is that there's always just these moments of comedy in this film, even in the most high stakes, serious, scariest scenes. And there's two here which I love, and one of them is that early in the film, the priest goes into this shop and he sees, I don't know if you remember this, but he sees two statues next to each other.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
One's a statue of Jesus and one is a naked woman, and they're looking at each other.
That's right.
So he turns the naked woman, and then he's about to walk away, but then he notices that Jesus is now looking at her ass. So then he turns that one as well, right?
That's
and it's like, and even the look on his face, like he's about to leave, and then he's like, oh shit, you know, he goes back to fix it again.
See, yes.
And I love that.
I do remember that, and well said. I'm glad you brought that up, because Rossellini's genius is just the right amount to, okay.
Absolutely.
It's entertaining.
Totally organic.
And then it's organic. That's it. Exactly. And then we're right back into the film.
At the end, speaking of moments, you know, when the priest is then executed, and then you see all the boys that he part of his parish, and they start to whistle that song he knew, and he smiles.
That's right.
It's just like that's like, you know, I mean, what a moment.
I think it's a testament to Rossellini that he could, as I said earlier, take these two separate ideas from his financier friend that she had, and then weave them, one being, it's exactly that she wanted to do one on the children.
Yeah.
And that he could weave these two separate ideas into a script. While a lot of it was, we ended up relying on improvisation in that film. Like I was there. But that's a testament to a brilliant, brilliant guy.
I love about the ending is as hard as a film this is, it is really optimistic in the end, because even after the priest is executed and the children see him shot, the final shot of the children walking back into the city is hopeful, because they're the future. So that final shot is sort of a message to say, let's not do this again. Let's let our children experienced it, and they saw it firsthand, and now they're walking away. So that's hopeful. And I think Rossellini is that was a brilliant idea for him to end it that way. And you know, I actually just discovered that apparently he wasn't religious at all. But
I didn't know.
Was just very much interested in religion. He was very good friends with this one priest who said that, and you know, you look at the images of when the man is being tortured in the torture scene, and the shot of the blowtorch burning his body, and his arms are up on the wall like this, like Jesus in the crucifixion. And even when Anna Magnani is shot and killed, the way the priest holds her and the way her head goes back is the same as the famous shot of Jesus in Mary's arms after Jesus was crucified. And he went on to do a movie about St. Francis of Assisi. He went on to do a movie about Jesus. So he definitely had an interest in it. And obviously he took what he felt was valuable in it. All these things we touch on, about love, all the, you know, St. Francis of Assisi even is, forget about whether you believe that or not. Everything he did was about love, and love your fellow human. And same with Jesus, right? So I think Rossellini was interested in that, definitely. And you see that in Rome Open City, absolutely. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed this video today. And if you haven't seen Rome Open City, you can watch it on the Criterion channel. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to our channel by clicking on the subscribe button, which you'll see in the top right of our screen. Click on that, and that will give you instant subscription. We'll see you next time.